All right, everyone, welcome back to our day 5 for our AnyAUT certified tester training. So yesterday's session, we were basically playing around with Eclipse. And with these 4 in place, we were able to write some basic tests. And a team, for those of you who are members, you can go through some of the more advanced trainings that we've done in the previous, if you are in a kind of a fast track to learn. Otherwise, we will be covering everything over again. Now, what is important, team, for us to go forward is to understand ERA, the 3 thumb rules for automation. And we will be talking about improving our Excel. And I will also talk about AnyAUT architecture, eggs writing and running tests using AnyAUT Orange Excel version. And then using AnyAUT Orange, the web version. So there are a few of these that we have to kind of keep going through, team, as we do. But let me make sure that we have a few things organized in the meanwhile. JPACT members. So there are a few important things for all of you. One, live project. So instead of keeping it something that we only get to in the mornings, I thought that let me have the main schedule in the evening. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we will do from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, different webinar link will be provided for this. Go to webinar link. In this, there will be 2 aspects, team. That is how I want to look at the team. The more of AnyAUT certified testers. And the next are basically AnyAUT certified developers. Now, in this, you'll be doing a lot of hands-on frameworks and, of course, CI/CD. So participate in them, and through which you can also be doing the client projects, team, and client projects directly. So this, and then mock interviews. This will be starting from Friday. Okay, from Friday at from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Pacific time for 1.5 week team. So 7-8 sessions, I would say, if possible, much lower. We'll see if we can do a longer one, but try and accomplish this. So this is specifically for all JPACT 10 and earlier members. Client project members who are working on the client project. This will help you really to get into the job market, team, quickly. So we've already been discussing about this individually with most of you, but as a team, I just wanted to keep this in place. Now, AnyAUT certified tester is going on, and we have a few things to cover as part of it. This is a Skype group that we all are active on. So please join here. I'm gonna share this. My screen is shared. I hope everyone can see. Can you all see my screen, team? Okay, great. So remember, I was talking about the live projects earlier and then the certifications. Once we finish our 2 weeks training, we'll automatically get into the next training and the next training through the same group. Live projects is what I'm talking about. Certifications team yet to organize the date. As soon as we finish this, mock interviews and a couple of weeks here, we will do certifications again. All right, so now that's the schedule. So please make sure this is active, and all the members who are getting into it should be able to do it. And team, even if you're JPACT 11 member, welcome to join in and observe. Just observe how things happen. This will give you a very, very strong perspective of technical interviews. Any questions on this before we move on to the subject, please? I'm assuming nothing as of now, or maybe there is. Can I have a question for download? Yes, go ahead, please. Can I get those questions quickly? Mock interviews are made one-on-one, right? There are one-on-one mock interviews that happen when we talk about your profile, your experience, your name. When we do your interview, that happens one-on-one on Skype. We interact different separately. These mock interviews are training sessions, like what was done by Venkat earlier. We take a question and we say, how do we answer this in a technical interview? That is what these mock interviews are all about. So there are various topics, right from Java programming, Selenium, CI/CD, Jenkins, GitHub, plenty of them, team, that we will go through. Yes, anyone who's joined this week, today, and so on, you're in JPACT 11. But team, again, you have access to everything, so don't worry. You're more than welcome to be part of any of these. Okay. Yes. So this is a group one. All right. This is a group activity, and I will guide you there. You don't have to show your name or your resume, everything, but you will be answering questions if you know it. That will give you also practice. If there's anything that we feel we can improve in the answers that the audience gives, that is what Manoj and I would do in these sessions. So join up. It'll be pretty interesting, JPAC members. Group activity on this one-to-one mock interviews. Create a Skype group, add Manoj and I. We will work. We will groom. Get your resume, team, first. Resume ready. All right. I hope this is good. Let's then go to our topic, everyone. My Chrome driver install, not sure if it is right. And team, here is where I think we all have to be extremely good, because we are trying to be in the quality assurance space, correct? Documentation is very critical, right? How you show a process to a user and be able to replicate. So I want Jyoti, you to send me a document or put it in the group for us, please, Skype group, and tell us what the issue is. One step, second step, third step, how we can reproduce, or what is happening at your end. Also take the screenshots where applicable. Prepare a small one. We'll be able to easily guide you on it. And let us say if it's still not happening, one of these days, we will make you the presenter and we will see it. But definitely we will handle every question, team. Give us a chance to, in a proper structured way, as to what the issue is, how we can replicate or help you. We will be able to guide. Okay, and team, be active on the Skype group. That's a good group from where all your interactions can start, and you'll have good connections also as you go through. Now, where are we? Thumb rules for automation. So team, we were talking all about manual activities and automation, and primarily there were three things that we saw. We have, let me take these. So we saw manual execution using Excel, correct? Then we saw automation using Selenium IDE. And we also saw automation using Selenium Webdriver. So what is it that we saw in these three that really got us interested, team? Manual execution using Excel. So we had every detail possible, human friendly. The challenge is takes sorry, bad throat, team. It's all windy, smoky up here in Los Angeles. I hope no one else out here from the group. Sorry, team. Give me a second. I need to quickly grab a cup of water again. Sorry, team. I'm back. So when we are focusing on the manual testing team, we were putting every detail possible into the Excel sheet. We made it human friendly so that others could read. It takes time to execute, and we need to rely and trust on what other users do. When we talk about manual testing, it is the fact that, okay, I give you these test cases. Now, what is it that you're going to do about it? Are you going to go about executing them step by step exactly? Can I trust that your execution will be solid? So it's again human dependent. So we're relying on the human being at the time. Now, when it came to Selenium IDE, things started doing something different. It will definitely be faster than manual. That is one big achievement that we have. We will also know that we can rely on the test steps on what was executed. So when we go back and look at Selenium IDE, all right, so when you look at Selenium IDE team, it's very similar to the steps kind of that we have written here. But the difference is the fact that when we say that we have executed the test, we can go back and retrace and see that actually did every step get executed. So whenever we're running those tests, we know that, okay, at the end of it, I can see the results and there's more trust in as to what happened. It will never skip steps or do something differently. What you see, what you give is what it is going to perform always. And that's totally in your hands and your ability to analyze them. And so you know from a status of if it's green or if it is red anywhere, what's worked, what's not worked, you get more better results. So rely on the test steps on what was executed, easy for traceability on how the defect and traceability is easy for traceability and defect reporting. So when I know that this is how I've done this execution and here is where it is kind of failing, I can pinpoint and say, where did my test case fail? What happened to it? And so on. This ability for it to start doing the basic things as an automation is getting this started. Now, what are the primary drivers for it? I'm just going to come in a quick second. Then we have Selenium Webdriver altogether. Now, what is it with the Selenium Webdriver that we've done? We've gone to the level of Eclipse, correct? This is much more complicated. Needs significant coding and does take a lot of effort too. So then we're talking about option 1 here, option 2 here, then option 3 here. Why would we always go with more of option 3 then? Why is it that automating using Selenium Webdriver becomes more critical than going this easier route where IDE is doing certain things and so on? The only way you would know, team, is as we explore and show more features into WebDriver rather than verbally. But the three important driving factors that you need to remember is when we are moving from manual to automation, remember efficiency, or rather it should be efficient, reusable, and accurate. What does this mean, team? Faster than human. That is one of the most primary things. It's a machine, it should be able to do things faster. And that's perfectly fine the way we look at things when we see Selenium IDE, that it executes very, very quickly, team. It does not take too long. And same with Selenium WebDriver. They work immensely fast. When you see test scenarios that go into dozens and so on, you will start noticing that speed becomes important. And the speed at which this runs is fabulous. You can never do it manually at the same thing. It should use lesser time, of course, faster than new human sense, lesser time in the sense more efficient by making it run parallelly or being able to do it on multiple browsers or multiple URLs at the same time. You are able to get that maximum efficiency around out of it. And also which means that it is efficient because it uses fewer resources. If the whole thing is about, okay, it's faster, lesser time, but it requires humongous amount of resources, be it server space, server time, or human time, or softwares and so on, those get into your factors again, team. Then comes reusability, because you put a lot of effort to build once, and what needs to come is a return on investment. So we have to build once and use multiple times. And if each time when we have a change or in the functionality or the features of the application, does it mean that I have to go back and rechange everything? The maintenance should be easy as well, team. That's what makes it reusable. So if it takes too long to and re-prepare everything, it's almost like doing your cooking. There's nothing that you could skip in it. You have to repeat the whole process again. So maintenance, when you're trying to go towards automation, should be much easier than in manual testing. And we will realize that aspect also, team, now. And the next one, and more importantly, is the accuracy. At the end of it, my tests must be trustable. And trustable, I don't know if it's a correct word or not. Yeah, it's not. Rather trustworthy, maybe. Where we can rely on its operations or on its execution. So what do I mean to say, team? Here, blindly I've assumed that one step failed, but these four passed. I don't want a tool to tell me incorrectly that, you know what, it actually failed, but I gave you pass. That is absolutely incorrect. Second being, when it says that, okay, there's an error, it should never skip or assume it is not. It should report us. It should give us the option to choose as to what we want to do at that time. So this becomes a key important factor as well, team. Now, these being the drivers, efficiency, reusability, accuracy, let us try and understand the difference that what we see in this Excel and what we see here in the Selenium WebDriver and our Eclipse. So the same program, we could also put it in Eclipse where we're saying open Chrome driver, manage the timeouts as to wait for how long on the browser, assuming it is loading. Before it says I waited enough, I didn't find the element to interact with, so I'll give an error on it. And then we navigated, maximize the window. So, and then these are the couple of more additional things that I've done, team, just to put it in to show you how we handle things. A simple try catch as of now, where I'm trying a piece of code and I'm saying that there's going to be execution here and what will come out. of it. So we may not be looking at Eclipse for the next couple of days at least, team, where we focus more on the execution at the back end. So we have all of this information here. I have all of the information here, or in a maybe almost the same, as long as the same scenarios. And we also have some information here. Isn't that correct, everyone? Now, team, I want you to actively think about and tell me what is the information that is not present in here that is critical for execution and it is there in any of the others. So we have 3 in total. There is an Excel here. There is Selenium Ide out here. And then we have your Eclipse out here, right? Now, each of them are doing the same purpose. This is going slower. This is taking more humans, not totally reliable because it is all human dependent. But this one is going faster because it's Selenium Ide. Then there is Selenium Webdriver. What is difference among these as of now? Do you see anything that is different among them? What is there in one? What is not there in the other? We don't have script for each step in Excel. Yes. Are these recorded? Yes, they are recorded. They'll be on our YouTube channel. You can look at the channel, please. I'll put the link. What else is different, team? Exception handling need to be defined in WebDriver. So exception handling need to be defined, or we defined it right now in our project. And yes, that's something we can do. But that way we have so many things like if statement, for loops, arrays, and all of these once it comes into it, there's a whole big playground for us. Okay, so we're not talking about that. Look at it, team. What are the 3 things that are required? And that is where I want you to focus. Once you're past this board of day 5 on automation, we will only focus on executing things now. Okay. See, you have your command target value. Okay. And even here, if you look at, you know what to do, where to do, how you'll identify. And if there's anything additional that you need to put for that, you also have those details. And for any automation, I kept saying, to build automation, you need 3 components. Always remember that, team. With these 3, you can write a script in any language, be it Java, Python, C#, Selenium, UFT, Catalan, any tool you can do it. The first is what? That is the command or action that you'll perform. The next is where, the element identification, how we identify that element. The last is info, or what we have as a test data. Now these become very critical, team, element ID or target. Once I have these 3 sets of information, then is there a possibility that we can execute this? I'm sorry, I just skipped my mind something. Now, so then I have these 3 players, correct? What is missing now in the Excel team? Still no one? Out of these 3, we have a few, we don't have a few, correct? Okay, let me kind of explain the answer also, team. See, in my Excel sheet, for every module, every test case kind of organized, and I can do it same here or here in Selenium IDE. What happens at each step? The action is provided here. This is the description of it. And the test data is out here, what we want to put. Now, humans know where to do this operation by looking at a web-based applications UI. A computer, a program will not know unless you provide the identification using an XPath ID and so on. And that is the key missing input here, team. So what we are saying is Does it mean that if I have an Excel that is a little bit more smarter looking, then automation can actually be done through the Excel? And that's exactly what we're saying. So see, this is my test step as to what to do. Here is my test data. Let us assume this is the third column. I was saying that there are three more columns before this. Actually, let me copy this and put it here. No. Copy, paste. I'll insert one more. Okay, so this is test data. This is the last column as we look at in Selenium Ide. Similarly, I'll create two more here. This column, which is an activity, what we will do, let me call it as a keyword column T. That basically tells what I'm going to do on the application. Now, the next, so that is the first, what we need to do, command action or keyword. The next one is the target or element identification. How is it that we will identify that element using what methodology? So if we are able to provide these three sets of information, then do I need to write the steps in WebDriver Eclipse is the question mark. In the sense that the entire logic or execution of what I want to do is out here. And not necessarily that it will have all the power, but there can be a system that's smart enough to navigate and understand this, what is happening, and be able to figure that detail out. Now, the same thing is what we have done through AnyAUT team. So if I quickly show you the architecture diagram, you'll understand what it does. All right. Now, there is a front end to it that we have used, and that front end is anyauth.com/orange. You'll sign in, you'll log into that, and we'll also look at it today, how it works. And there is a backend that goes in as an Excel sheet team, rather as a something in between these two platforms. Okay. And then the same thing goes as the input for the first step. So whatever we want to do as a test maintenance, what we're talking about, creating modules and writing different test cases, test scenarios, and expanding them to detailed test steps, all of those details we could handle it on a web front end, which has got some better restrictions for us, gives us guided control. Now, the core engine is the one that is a smart code team. And this is where AnyAUT certified developers, you want to spend plenty of time in understanding how this core engine is built. It is a simple smart code team. All it does is it goes to this Excel, identifies what modules are there, what test cases are there, what steps are there for each test case, get this information, have everything sufficient enough for it to execute it on the application, and then get the reports. And that entire execution is there within our is done using Java, TestNG, Selenium Webdriver, Apache, extent reports, Log4j. So a few things like that, which you all should get a great exposure on. Now, in the evolution cycle of AnyAUT, the starting version was orange, which kind of is even free today. So you could click on join us, sign in team, and go into it. Simple, quick information. You'll get a free access. Just log in. And this is a demo account. I'm just going to sign in and show you what it looks like. Everyone good to take a good look into the application, and we'll see how we can do some executions today. So typically team, what is there here is the same similar setup that you've been seeing on the Excel sheet. So whenever you look at this application, go back to how we were looking at Selenium Ide or Excel sheet. In Ide, we talk about a project. Under a project, we have multiple tests that we want to create. So that is kind of a hierarchy. In our hierarchy in this Excel, we said, let's divide that application into modules, each module having different test cases, each test case having different test steps. So that becomes a tree architecture for us. And that is the same thing that is done here, where we have 3 modules. Within the 3 modules, overall there are 3 test cases, only 4 steps in all the modules combined. We kind of keep on deleting also from this to add new ones. Then there is something called as reusable components. We will come to this team. There is something called as test run and test results. Okay. So when you look at AnyAUT Orange, it's a test management and an automation tool both in one. So let us assume that one of the customers is using AnyAUT. You can start doing automation without any knowledge on coding team and help them. And that is what AnyAUT certified testers are currently doing on various applications. So 4 steps team for it. The first is to set up your entire test. And as part of that also comes your reusable components as to what you want to reuse over a period of time. And then we do execution. So we take that information, we download that Excel, and we execute it on a local machine, Windows, Mac, Linux, and then we have results that we can export it back onto the web application. So 4 steps: create your tests, add reusable components to them, then execute your tests, get your results. Now, how does this work? So the first thing that we do is team on the left side. So dashboard gives you an overall perspective. As soon as you log in, this is what you would see. Now, when I go into the test plan, the first thing is your test setup that links to what we see here. Everyone with me, team? I have the audience. Any questions, issues, please let me know. I'm going with the flow. If you think my speed is uh, pretty fast, let me know, team. As long as you're able to catch up with the speed, I'm good. All right. So where are we in here? The first one that we have in test setup is AUT. This is nothing but a simple detail about the application and the test itself. Just the name of it, a URL, and what industry. And then under that application is what we're saying that we want to add modules to it. So here there are a few modules that have been added for a different customer. And then there are test cases. I'm already at test cases. So here are 3 test cases that have been added under the user admin module only of that. And for each test case, there could be multiple test steps. And I can see for login incorrect, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And whenever I want, I can search for any test case. So let's say I have test case 3, I can just search here. They would all come up. So these 4 tabs on the left side will help you to maintain details about the application. Add a new module if you want. And let's say this is test module. Give it a unique ID team. Ideally, what I would do is call them as M01, M02, give it a description, test only, delete later. But what I will do, team, I will clean up this entire account and redraw it once for us. And I want you all to parallelly work with me in doing the same. There are some defects in AnyAUT Orange, and we will fix them when we come across it. Tick, 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 tick. Okay, what am I doing? An add module. So modules can continue to get added. So when I add a test case now, I have to first select which module I want to add to, and then I will give it a test case name and say add the test case. Now my test case has been added and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, all the 4 test cases. Under that test case is where you can continue to add one step at a time. So I have that. Under that, I have test case 04 underscore test and step ID is 1. Now here is where the tool gets smarter, team. It talks about something called as built-in keywords, and we will explore that a little and we'll come back to this UI. So not gone into detail here yet. Then test steps, what else is there, please? You could take any of these steps, for example, and also edit it. And team, let's park it as of now here, and we will come back to modifying this, but let's go back to that Excel quickly, team. So what is it that I need to add here? A keyword as to what I want to do. So let's try and fill this column, team, and then see what is the other columns we have, just to keep that sanity on what is happening. So how do we go to an application and a test, team? So going to an application and a test actually is 2 steps for us, isn't it? I'll say this is 1.1. First I have to open browser. Then I have to navigate to a URL. Then how do I search Joker? I have to type text and the value is Joker. For this, I need to give some element identification. So to open browser, I don't need element identification. I need a test data which says it is Chrome. For navigate URL, no EID, but test data which has the URL. For type text, I need to know where to type. And this is what? Search, right? So I can look at it here. It says ID is icon underscore search, and we're typing here. So it's got actually 2 tick, say again. So this has got 2 steps, insert. So first we click on that site search icon. See, now the manual test is becoming more and more elaborate. So click on search icon, then type search command. And before we verify, we have one more thing. Click on the magnifying glass again or hit enter key. And this is open Chrome browser. So unlike what we gave team earlier, this becomes more specific. So first I have to click on the search icon, and for that I'll use ID equals icon underscore search. And here it is just click, and we'll say clicking any element. It could be a link, it could be a button, it could be a text, it could be an image. Drop down list does not matter. If we want to click on it, I'll say there's something called click element. There is nothing I'm doing as test data right away when we click on it. Remember the application team at the back end. How does it work? So we go to amctest.com, and once we're here, first we click here, then we type, and then again I think we click here or hit enter, either one. Did it show us? There you go. And that's when it gives us the result. Manually when we were doing it, we just wrote it as 3 steps, but when we expanded, we realized that this actually 6 steps. Now type search command. So type text, where do we type it? In this field. How do we get that field? CSS is search input. And then click on this is hit enter key. For this, no test data, but you need, oopsie. This needs to have where. So we are basically hitting it on the same element and enter key. Verify search results. And this is another step. So all I'm trying to say is if my code or AnyAUT needs to understand what to do, it needs to have these 3 elements, team. If we correctly fill them, then everything is set for us. And that's exactly what we are trying to do out here. The only thing that is advanced within AnyAUT is the factor or the concept that we have incorporated all the frameworks into it. So when we say hybrid framework, what I mean to say is my test data does not have to be static here. I could change it into another one as a new sheet and say I will maintain test data here centrally and just give the name of that variable in here. So what do I mean? I will put test, let's say, variable name or test data name, test data value. All right. Now I'll say the first one is variable URL. And instead of writing my URL, repeating it 100 times every test case, I will put it centrally here. And all I will do is I will have in the test steps this replaced to VURL. And I'm saying go take it from the test data sheet. That way, if it changes or tomorrow I need to do instead of AMC theaters, I'm doing an execution on, let us say, qa101.amctheaters.com, then I change it here in one place, it'll reflect everywhere team. I don't need to change it multiple times. Similarly, there are other things like, variable search term, then variable search result. What is it that you're expecting? And let's say this is Joker. And what was the result that we were looking at? It's a pretty nice one. 8 results found for Joker will come up here. And we have variable search, no. User name is there or user email, let us say, variable user password. So if you have successfully logged in, what is it that you're going to see? And here, whatever you want to put for now. And password is whatever. So all we are saying is let us not constrict our test steps by saying, you know what, I have to put everything hard coded. No, we want to use it correctly. So wherever I want it to do, then we will put it. Now see, there's where variations are there. I have one more thing I missed is variable browser, variable URL, variable search term incorrect. Okay. So it's not always that you search for valid ones. Let's search for something AnyAUT. If you search, what happens? That basically what I'm saying is here, instead of saying search is countdown, if I put here AnyAUT, which definitely it wouldn't recognize, how is it that the results come? Now, all of these team is exactly what we will see in AnyAUT. One session team, I'll go end to end, will write everything and create it, at least for a few Excels, but I'll quickly walk through what else we have. So test steps, one step at a time, we provide reusable components. We have an element map. So where we are saying in the Excel, exactly like test data, I will create one more sheet here. Call this as element map if you want, and store all the details about elements here and how we identify them. And you may have elements in different pages of the application. So you can also call this as page name and which page, which element, and so on. Once you give those values here and how we can identify them here, then you can just fill that names out here instead of hard coding them team. That is again adding to the effectiveness that I don't need to hard code them. Everything can be parameterized. Similarly, for these keywords also, what is it that I could do? For each keyword, I could talk about what it does and have a code ready for it. So I have a keyword name and a description as to what it does. So you are able to refer each time and create them. So once I have open browser here and all the way, oopsie, uh, to verify. So this is what we'll have to verify is text. Look at the way I'm naming team, and it'll become logical as we shift this into the reusable code as well. I'm going to insert one above. And finally, there is going to be one more step, which is close the browser. Your test is done. Why should you keep it open? And for close browser, you don't need anything. V search result, is that the name? And I have an keywords. So I have open browser. What does it do? What inputs it requires for it to execute, navigate URL. And each one can have its own specific Selenium Webdriver code to execute. And what AnyAUT does now, team, is very simple. It goes through this Excel sheet. It identifies which keyword, what element ID it gets it from here, what test data it will get it from here, what keyword it knows what it is, and then it will have a code specific to that keyword that it will execute by passing these two additional columns. And that will execute on the web application, and we can then maintain results. So if you go to AnyAUT.com, let us say you added some of these element maps, test data, and so on. Go to test run setup. This is where I have an ability to choose what module I want to execute. Let's say in user admin, all test cases. I don't want to execute anything in freelances or these. If I want, I could choose which ones, and it'll tell me that, okay, is there a set data that you want to execute anything on? So if you just create this and say save test run setup, and I'll just give it as KK 30th October. No, I don't think it got saved. Let me see. If I hit enter, it won't get saved. That's the problem. All test cases. There's plenty of things, team, how we can view, how we can go edit. So there's a lot here, but basic ones we're doing. Yes, and save test run setup. Now that should be done here, and it should come here. So this is the one that is created, team. So when I download this, it comes up as an Excel sheet. And all the steps that I've shown you, team, you can replicate at your end as well. This Excel sheet will now become an input to your automation engine. Now, what is that automation engine? Team, all of you can follow the 6 steps that is there. Once you log into AnyAUT.com using your account, go to the test run and follow these 6 steps. Once you do that, you basically have downloaded AnyAUT onto your local machine somewhere, and we should be able to do an execution. Let's see AnyAUT anywhere. Just AnyAUT. When was this? 2017. It's a pretty old one, but shouldn't matter, I think. Let's see. Test run QAO. Let me see this. Test case 1, test case 2, 3, 4. There's something here. I'll try. And team, I'll walk through much more detail tomorrow, A to Z, on how we do the execution, just seeing, playing around. Which one am I doing? So, QA 18 July. I don't even know if it's got the latest ones, and I have a hard stop, team. So I'll continue this tomorrow. Meanwhile, all that I want you to do is please go to AnyAUT.com and ensure that you get the register their free account and start playing around, little team. Someone asked for the Skype group link. I'm going to send that across in the chat for you. And team, I'm having to end the session right now. I'll see you all back tomorrow. All right. All the documents here, let me do one thing. At least I'll give you a view access team for this folder. Can view, copy link. Right, so daily notes, whatever I've been writing on the Google Drive are all here. All right, team, I'll see you tomorrow then. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. Thanks all. Thank you, everyone.